There we are. You're now live.
Great. Well, good morning. So let's call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. Eastern or Standard Creemore time. So the first item on the agenda, approval of the agenda. We've had a chance to review that. Could I get somebody to move acceptance, please?
I do.
Linda, thank you. Thank you. And a seconder? Pear, thank you, Pear. Now, disqualifying interests. So is there anything that might cause a conflict? There being none, so let's say that's clear. And approval of the minutes. So I hope everybody had a chance to click on that hyperlink to see what the minutes were of the last meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Anybody care to make a motion on acceptance?
All right. Well,
Debbie, thank you. And a seconder?
Sure.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you. Good. So just as a business arising from those minutes then, if we could take a look at the advertising costs, please. Deb?
Okay, I checked with the Stainer Sun, Collingwood, Wasaga, and apparently one ad covers all three papers. We're looking at $6 for a small ad, which is 3 or 4 lines. For 1 week, $11.40 for 2 weeks, $16.20 for 3 weeks, $20.40 for 4 weeks, or a rough ballpark figure for a bigger box ad is about $150 a month. At the current time, I don't know if we have the money to do it, but maybe a month from now.
Mm-hmm.
And the Echo will work with us and our budget.
Okay, well.
I've also contacted the Borden base paper that covers Angus, but that would be the Alliston paper now because the Borden base paper is now online and it's very expensive. They start at they're all banner ads. It's really expensive, but she sent me to the Alliston Herald, which supposedly covers Angus. And it's under the same newspaper chain as the Stainer Sun, Collingwood, and Wasaga, so it would be the same cost as those.
Hmm.
So,
And
any discussion on that? Linda?
I remember when we put advertisements in before on wedding magazines and things like that, and we didn't find much benefit to that. Now, again, as I said, that was like wedding magazines. That was specifically going after that. But put something into the papers. It might be interesting, but as you say, the small ad, it's only how many, like a couple of lines, you said?
Yes, they said 2 or 3 lines at most, at best.
And is there any picture or is it just
No,
words?
just words.
Okay.
And a bigger ad is more expensive.
Yeah.
That $100 one, is it?
The high ballpark figure was $150 for a month, but it would run every week for a month. But if we just went once a month or, and they'd have to see the actual ad to give me a price on it.
Because it might be worthwhile to try it, but it depends on our finances really, but to try something like that to kind of advertise for like really what we would like to advertise for is things like weddings, right?
Right.
Like that kind of an event, I would think, but I don't know. Brian, how's our money for having enough money to even think about it?
Yeah, my message is totally black and white here. We don't have any money.
Okay,
That's what I thought. So like I said, maybe a month from now, 2 months from now, I know it's booking up pretty good, so there will be money coming in. But right now, I don't think it's feasible.
Okay.
But the other part of advertising, I've had the farmers market asking me if we could put their market on the calendar. And I'm like, what calendar? And she said the one on Facebook. Well, who has access to that?
no idea.
Not sure.
There's a calendar for the station on Facebook?
Apparently, yes. And it would be really good if I had access to that, if we could figure out who has it. I know Patty does something with Facebook, and I'm wondering if it's her, but she's not here, so.
Mhm.
Well, you can email her though. She would be able to give you an answer.
Yeah, I will. I just thought,
I have absolutely no idea. I would be like if I went on Facebook, what would I have to put in? Just Creemore
Station on the Green, yeah. And I have seen different, like there's so many different websites for Station on the Green and Facebook pages. I don't even know where to start. And it would be really nice if we did have a Facebook page or a website that we could maintain.
Per, comment?
I was just thinking, since we invoked the name of Patty, and unfortunately she's not here, it is the one thing that she has proclaimed throughout her membership on the board as being her specialty, that of marketing, that we really need to include her. And by saying that, I also wish to say thanks to Debbie for all the work that she's been doing in this regard. Where is the best area to direct the availability of our facility?
Facebook.
Well, I think Patty may be an expert on that. She has a business, not a
Yeah,
pecuniary interest, but a business in the area which requires marketing of a similar fashion to what we require. Why could we not, and I'm not saying combine, but put the task to Patty to help us out now in this regard? It's now that we need to set up our summer. We need to begin now. And to that, I wanted to say, if, as Debbie mentioned, that the Echo was one of the venues that she contacted, and that they would be able to start us at a certain rate when we agree. I would say, wouldn't the Echo, in their own interest as well, wish to maybe give us a little bit of credit or some kind of help or symbiotic relationship to bring business to the area? That's their purpose as well. Some kind of coordinated effort to get us going. We need to advertise now, not in the summer.
that's right.
Okay, good points, Per. Certainly one of the suggestions. That's the Facebook, is that?
This is what I just put in Creemore Station on the Green, and I came up with this, and it's photos of the station, and it's like old, and the exterior old, it's an old photo, obviously, with the children of the dance and the garden area and everything, so it's not up to date. And it's showing that. And then it says, a meeting place in the center of the village of Creemore, available for weddings, events, meetings, special special events probably, or special interest. And then it says, please call Debbie Hill for rates and dates and details.
So somebody's maintaining it.
And it's now the number to call, yeah, and it's the number of the station, 466-2552, right? And then it goes forwarded to you.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's, so somehow that is being done, but I know, other than that, I don't know anything about it. This is the first time I've even done it. And then it goes ahead and talks about the farmer's market and the station on the green and a little bit and stuff like that, but I don't know. Yes, that's all I know.
Per?
So in closing on this subject, perhaps, would it not be a good idea for Debbie and Patty to get together, since they both seem to be the experts in this department?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, Per. And
I'll get hold of Patty.
yeah, what I would,
Yeah, maybe you should fly to Bermuda.
yeah. Okay, so so you'll take that on then, Deb, as a action point then to contact,
Sure.
and you might want to just copy the board on that communication so that we can just keep understanding what's going on with that.
I will.
And see that Patty, and it brings up one other point in my mind. What Linda just said is, if there's many things that come up as part of the search, we should make sure that those searches are consistent and the same pictures and quality and everything is being maintained. So that's another comment you might want to consider as part of the scope of that discussion, Deb.
Sure.
Okay, great. Okay, so thank you for taking that on. And next is the proposed office space that we discussed last meeting by the request of the Village Green. And just to sort of bring it into perspective, following our last meeting, we met to review the space, looked at the facility. Terry came back to us with some documentation that explained what the limitations were in having people working out of it. And so where we are now is to prepare a response then to the Village Green in that request. And I don't know if anybody else has got any other requests. Okay, Linda.
Oh, I've already contacted the Village Green. Why am I blanking on her name right now? Debbie,
Abby.
Abby.
Tabitha.
Yeah, I contacted her in person and explained that the space, there is no space available at the station for them to utilize. And I believe I also sent an email saying the same thing. And so they've been notified because it just doesn't work. And so she's trying to find something, like she's talking to the local businesses to see if there's any space anywhere. And I mean, the most important thing is really what they're looking for is something, obviously, so that the person they hire would be able to get to the station fairly quickly. So, and I mean, basically, and both Debbie and I said the same thing to her, that, try to hire somebody who lives right here in town, and then in effect, the person uses their home as their office. And then that would be, then that would work. But anyway, so no, they know, they've been notified, everything is done, and they are not looking towards that at all anymore.
What was their response to that?
Oh, she understood totally. Yeah, no, she was great. She understood.
Okay.
They're fine. They're just, they're just trying every option they can. I said to her, I said, well, there might be some rental space available. I don't know what their money situation is for something like that. But like, I just even pointed out, like, that hair salon that's right on Mill Street, and then there's the other half of that space that really isn't utilized. And, I just pointed that out, or I said, whatever.
Okay, thanks, Linda. Per?
Yeah, it's not our business to define what space.
No. No.
I think it was an agenda item brought up in our last meeting that the information that you've just provided, Linda, should be made a part of our record.
Yeah. So could you send that? Are you saying, Per, that email that was sent out should be?
I will see if I still have it.
Oh, okay.
If I still have it, I can forward it to Kayla. Did I send it to you by any chance, Kayla?
I'll have to take a look, Linda, but I will send you an email. I don't think I received it. I compiled everything in that communication.
And I will check and see if I still, I was even, I know I talked to her personally on the phone, but I'm trying to remember if I actually sent the email. I think I did. I'll try to look into it. I will look.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably good to just cover all the bases on that, given the circumstances. So thank you, Per. That's a good point. Right. So that's, let's move on then to the next point, the financial report. So Brian sent that out yesterday, and that was quite alarming. Brian?
Okay. As I got the January bank statement on Tuesday, so the P&L shows to the end of January with a bank balance of $5,803.70. February, I don't have the bank statement for February, and I do not have the means to go in and look at it online anymore. So while I know the checks that I write, and any income that we get from rentals, I know what that is, but there's some automatic payments that go out. I know what those are. But things like the EPCOR income, the EPCOR expense, and the Enbridge expense, and Rogers is basically the same each month, but the others go up and down. So I only have an approximate idea of what we would have in February. But as it stands right now, at the end of January, the bank balance was at $5,803.70. Since then, however, we have paid for the electrical panel, and in February, and just excuse me 1 minute while I call that up, but we've written so $3,075.86 for the Huronia panel, and an additional $1,661.10 to Huronia, and $99.81 as well for the monitoring. And we've also paid Rogers $253.32 and EPCOR $236. And then the electrician, I just wrote the check for that, $309.62. And then Debbie at the end of the month. And so at the end of February, we're looking at, and I've got it as of March 4th because I included a couple of things that go out right on March the 1st. We're looking at about $286.64, but when I went over it again this morning, I think we're probably in the red by March the 4th. So the Huronia was just about under $5,000 that we took out. And the other remaining 800 that we had in the account has been used up in other ways. So I'm going to suggest that we approach council to at least pay half of the Huronia amount, since it's a safety issue, the electrical panel and the fire alarms, etc. That we seek some financial assistance. We've done this once before, I believe, with the furnaces, and I think it would be appropriate to request support. Either the full amount would be nice, but at least a good chunk of it, so that we remain in the black in March. Having said that, going forward, we are still going to need an income stream. And the only income we get is from the solar panels and from the rental income. So, and the EPCOR credit. Well, that's solar panels and our rentals. So we're on a very fine line right now. If things are opening up and rentals start coming back, we should hope that they start coming back in a hurry, because we are very close to the line here. And I wish Barry Burton was at the meeting right now, because he might offer some advice as to what we could do. I had thought that rentals were picking up, and we'd started getting some money in the end of November, December, and January. It looked good. And I don't know, Debbie, if you have more income stream there to talk about or not. But as it stands right now, it looks like it was thinning out again. And so we didn't get I was hoping we get some rental money in February as well, but so far we only got a small amount.
January, we had a lot of cancellations, and December I thought was slower too. And I put that down to Christmas, but people are scared still. They don't want to come out in groups of people, whatever, but it's starting. February, I've got quite a few. March is looking up. Yeah, I'll get into that in rentals.
Okay.
Okay, Brian, so just for clarification, the 6,000 did include the 5,000 reserve, right? For
Oh yeah, always does.
Right. So it's not a magical disappearance. It was a project that had been approved, and everybody had considered that we were moving on as usual. So yeah, it's a very unfortunate thing, and I think you're quite right. We should make that request to council at least to cover half, at least, I think.
It's partially we need to advertise, because people aren't aware that we're open. They aren't aware. A lot of places aren't even aware it's there, like in Collingwood and Angus. They don't even know it's there. We need to get the word out.
Linda, did you have a comment?
Well, I was just wondering, since we are looking for financial help from the township, I was wondering if, Brian, would you be able to I don't even know who you would actually direct the request to, but could you put together just, the expenses and what we had to pay for, to see if I don't even know I don't even know who you go to.
Then
Who did we go to?
Terry Vashon is our go-to guy, right?
Yes, yeah.
Terry, and copy to whomever, yeah. So.
But the last time, I think, did we not go to the CAO?
Well, maybe go to Terry with a copy to the CAO. But I think that's our sort of chain of command, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to interrupt, but would our chain of command not be the Deputy Mayor Barry Burton, who's on our board? Wouldn't that be the logical way to go?
Well, that's why I was hoping Barry would be at the meeting today, because I think it would go either through him or advised by him as to where it needs to go. So part of the problem is I don't get the bank statements till virtually, as I said, I got it on Tuesday. The Tuesday of the week of our meeting. And that's when I first see it. And the bank statement that I get is last month's.
Yeah.
And it used to be that I could go online and track what was happening in the bank statement. So I always knew where we were at. As it stands right now, I'm a month behind usually. And I don't know what's happening in February till I see the bank statement. I only know what my inputs are on my records, but I don't capture everything because some of it, like I'll get a bill, and I just got a bill. Reminds me, the solar panels, the router is a rental one, and it's $300 and some a year to rent it. And that's the means by which we track the electricity that we produce and the credit that we get. So it's essential that we have that router. But I just got the bill in the mail yesterday. I picked it up at the post office. And if I pay that bill, it's going to bring us right pretty close. And, you know, I don't even know if the check will clear. So that's how tight it is right now. Now, Linda, I think you're right. We should put together a list of where we're at in our costs coming up. And maybe we ask for the full amount to cover the panel for Huronia, the costs, because I think we're going to need that money going forward, even to get us through to the end of March into April. And hopefully rental income will be picking up at that point. And whether they give it to us gratis or whether they give it to us with the understanding we pay some of it back later on, but I don't, you know.
As it is an operational requirement, what we have just installed, and the benefit is 100% to the township as a result of us having installed that. I surely think we could ask for 100% of it. It's in their best interest. That's why we are here.
Well, I agree.
Linda.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Absolutely. I think the township should pay it all. And I'm thinking that, again, Brian, you're the one who understands this. Even if you call Barry and ask him where to direct this to try to get it going now, like as in, you know, right away, and see where we can direct the request, who we have to talk to. Exactly. Like, is it Terry Vachon? Do we go to, you know, Terry Vachon plus somebody else? And yeah, Barry should be able to tell you who, and just give, like, you have his contact, right? Like, you have his phone number. Yeah, you have his phone numbers. And then just, you got his cell, you have his cell phone number?
Do you?
Yep, I do.
You want to email it to me? I can give him a call. I don't have his phone number, I don't think.
Okay, I will put that down right now to send you Barry's contact, Barry's phone numbers to you.
Okay, good. Okay, so and as a separate item from that, I think there should be a distinct request to Brian have access to the financials. Like, I think it's unacceptable that you know, we don't have the ability to look into our own financial matters.
How come that is? What happened?
Well, Brian lost control of QuickBooks, and it went back to the township, right?
Well, it wasn't, I didn't lose control of QuickBooks. I lost control of being able to go online to the account. And whether that was, you know, due diligence on their part, that, I mean, I guess I could transfer the money out into my account by doing it online. I mean, that's a possibility, and somebody may have pointed that out at the township level, and they decided to pull everything into under their control. The only problem is I'm working a month behind, and I can't, check out the account on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, I think that's as a separate item, then can we identify that as the secondary request to avoid these kind of problems into the future, that the bank balance be available, or the bank online banking should be available to you, right? Yeah, good.
Yeah, that would be good. Excuse the noise in the background. We have a duct cleaner here right now, and the dog is barking, so I will mute it when it gets really too loud. Sorry.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, yeah, so that seems to be, yeah, well, I guess it makes more interest in the next item, which is our income item. So Debbie, would you like to go ahead and talk about the rental update, please?
Okay, for February, we have the winter market on Saturdays. The Clearview Community Church on Sundays. Jambé Drums is back, so that's every Wednesday. Rachel Stevenson has started a kids group, and she has booked Thursdays up until the end of March and the first Saturday in April. The Central Canada Fantail Club is there this Saturday all day. Maddie Lemon has a shower coming up on the 20th, and Water First is supposed to be calling me about a date in February, but I suspect that'll be March now because they just got all this money and they'll be playing with it. But yeah, so I suspect that one will be March. I'm not expecting anything else for February, but I get a lot of last minute requests, so we'll see. In March, Jambé Drums is going to be there on Wednesdays, the winter market on Saturdays, the church on Sundays, Rachel Stevenson Thursdays and Thursdays. There's a shower booked. The Clearview Chamber of Commerce canceled, but there are some tentative bookings, some people coming to see the hall for March, whatever. And in April, there's Jambé, the church, Rachel Stevenson again, the Wiggins Celebration of Life, a wedding on April 23rd. May, I have a few bookings. August, I have 2 weddings. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I've got right now. The church just asked me how much they owe. So Brian, there'll be $2,095 coming in from them, hopefully by the end of the month, but they're pretty quick once they know the amount. And that's what I have there so far. The Hort Society.
Can I just ask you what you're speaking of there, Deb? Have you done a forecast on the values of what the rentals would be?
No, I haven't, but I can. I would normally do that at the end of the month for the next meeting, and because we didn't have anything in January, I didn't, but I can do that and send it out to you.
Just as a forecast, it's helpful given the circumstances we're in to know what the forecast.
Sure, I'll do that up today and send it out to you because I've got all the contracts.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm just going to make a note of that. Okay, the Hort Society wants a plant sale on June 2nd. They want to book the station for 24-hour period. From 1 on the Friday until 1 on the Saturday. They want to run it with the farmers market. Do we normally do that for free? I don't know. I'm asking. I don't know what to tell them.
Brian, do you know? Do you have any records?
Brian?
You're on mute, Brian.
Chasing the dog.
Okay, I'm looking it up. It'll take me a moment here because I gotta find it.
Yeah.
I know they haven't done one for a couple of years, but
Yeah, I have a feeling that we haven't charged them, but let me look. Let's see.
Can I ask you, while you're doing that, would you check and see whether we charge the Purple Hills Arts and Heritage Society for the Small Halls Festival use? That was my other question too. So as you're kind of doing that.
Well, Brian's looking, just a question for Kayla was, you know, the matter Barry would always comment is if it was a financial matter, it should require a motion. Do we need a motion for that last item in requesting the funding and the township funding to support our implementation?
Yeah, it might be a good idea, Jeremy, but I think you might want to associate a number
Yeah,
with that request. And I just,
yeah, we're
I-
vague. We're pretty
yeah, I
vague.
don't want to leave it too vague that way.
Yeah.
I know that you're looking to cover the costs, and I think when you go in with a request and you have that background information, you
Mhm.
have a better likelihood of receiving it.
Yeah, we're just using round numbers. You're right, exactly.
Yeah,
Good, thanks.
and I would also direct that question to Terry first. That's my initial thought.
Good.
Okay, I've gone back as far as 2019. Before I've just found a horse sale on June the 1st.
that would be it.
Jackie Skillings booked it and we charged $183.40. So they did pay a rental for that.
Okay, now my next question with that is that motion that it was before my time, but the motion that was passed in June where the Hort Society gets the station for free, was that specified? Did it have any specifications in it, or is it just a motion that they use it for free? And will that apply to the plant sale, or does it apply to just their meetings?
Good question.
Because if it didn't specify, then, and that motion was passed, then we pretty much have to go with that for free, don't we? Or do we?
I think,
The Tree Society, the Tree Society gets it for free. We've not charged them. I'm looking at 2019 because it's the last time we had a really full year of bookings. And I'm looking for the Purple Hills right now. What is that time period for the small halls again?
Does anybody remember? Because it's in the spring or summer, it's in the nice weather season, that's for sure. But I can't remember when.
Yeah, we haven't charged Purple Hills for a meeting, but I don't know about small halls.
Have we charged them for anything?
I'm looking and I don't, yeah, well, we've charged them for one meeting, but another meeting we didn't charge.
Would it not be sensible to maybe make a resolution that any agency or club or what have you that's for the benefit of the surrounding area, that they be free? We can't have one party getting it for free and not another, or charge one party at one point and then not charge them at another. but that if we charged only for occasions where it was celebrations and weddings and showers, as Debbie says, those are income moments. But if you have the Flower Society or what have you, those are events that are good for the community, and that is the purpose for the hall.
I think that meetings, hour-long meetings, 2-hour-long meetings on Monday to Thursday are great for free. But I think when they're talking a 24-hour period, when we're potentially giving up a $400 or $500 rental, that they should be paying something. Or for an 8-hour period, even for their general meetings, Monday till Thursday, I think absolutely should be free. But I think in our hot time, 24 hours, 8 hours is too much for free, because we're potentially giving up a $300, $400, $500 rental.
Yeah, well, I'm not advocating that we give them free time while we can rent out. They would have to accommodate the schedule we have for rentals.
But on a Saturday with the plant sale, they want to run it with the market, which is totally understandable, but the 24-hour period they want it for, I think we should be charging, if not a discount. Like, I think we should give them definitely a discounted rate, but I do think we should charge, and we have charged them in the past.
Make no mistake, I'm all for charging, but you have to do it in a fair manner. You can't do it for one and then not do it for another.
I agree. And that's been my problem, because the Tree Society wants it for a dinner on a Saturday. And again, I think we should charge for it. Those are fundraising events for them. And I think it's giving up prime rental time for us. So I think for those kinds of events, we should be charging a discounted rate, granted, but we should be charging. But for their meetings, you know, that are generally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights for a couple of hours, they should get those for free.
Okay, I think that's a good criteria you just laid out there, Debbie, which was to say that meetings of short duration can be given at no cost, whereas events such as the dinners, fundraising, and others like the overnight plant stuff should have a fee, and we can certainly apply a discount of, you know, like a 20%.
Or maybe base cost associated even with free time for the simple expenses such as someone going to the hall and opening up and letting them in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if there are any requirements such as COVID left where cleaning has to be done or something, those costs should be covered.
Yes, that's why special events, I think, should be distinctly a category, and whereas a little meeting might be construed as being, you know, a community effort and to work with them. Linda?
Is there a difference between, say, the Hort Society and the Purple Hills Arts and Heritage Society as being a group of township, a Clearview Township group? Is there any difference?
I don't believe so.
Because we could try to get a because let's say if Purple Hills uses the station as they have before with the Small Halls Festival, and depending on when it is and what's going to happen, but let's say it's used as an art display for Saturday and Sunday on that weekend, would or should, first, we don't even know if it's going to happen, but let's say it does. And then should it be free of charge when it's on a weekend? They're not actually even, I mean, I'm just trying to think with the Small Halls Festival. I don't know that people are like, you know, like some of the small halls put on dinners and they make money that way, right? And things like that. Like there are events at the small halls where money is made. But something like just an art display, I don't know if there's money being made, but they are utilizing the space 2 days on a weekend. How do we deal with something like that? Should we do an all-encompassing, and I like Pear's idea, just suggest that for all community groups, any short-term meetings during the week can be free. Anything that happens on weekends, they must pay rent. The rent could be discounted, we don't know. You know, that's something else. But somehow we do have to get this, because I do know that when the rentals were being done at the Echo, there were a lot of different things that were done. There were, you know, different rentals for local groups. There were free things for this. Like they had when it was being done, it was, and we didn't even really have that much control of it in a lot of ways, but it was very, very, very different. And I would like to see it streamlined to the point where, as Debbie is saying, if they're utilizing it for a meeting midweek and the place is available, they can have it for free. If it is being used on a weekend, they must pay rent.
Or for a fundraiser through the week, anything longer than say 2 or 3 hours.
Well,
That makes sense to me.
That's what is in the proposed, that's what's in this price list right now. So I think if we refer back to the pricing schedule that you had prepared, you've got that item identified as, we can just clarify it, it's been handwritten in there. So what we could do is just make that formal, what you've written in there, that anything that's within the week, Monday to Thursday, is with a duration of 3 hours or less is no charge for the community groups, and that's perfectly what you've got in there. You must have discussed that, and it's a good thought. Anything after that is chargeable.
Then my next suggestion would be to email all these societies, like the Tree Society, the Hort Society, Purple Hills, anything else we have. If I could get a list of them, I'll do it and let them know.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what we need to formalize. I think that the price list that you've got here, that could be sent out to people, exactly right. And with that criteria written on there with a letter of explanation. So I think that's a good move. I would highly recommend we do that.
So how do we get this formalized? Like what are the steps to get this formalized, voted for and done? Or do we still have to vote on anything?
The price schedule has been accepted by the group last meeting.
So
right?
Then all we really need is Debbie to send out that email she's talking about.
Well, and to make this handwritten part of the schedule, to make it actually a formal part of the agreement of our pricing agreement. Okay.
I would suggest coming back to the board with an amendment to your price schedule to include the community groups and the discounted prices that you're hoping to implement. However, if the Horticultural Society plant sale requires a decision right now, it might be best to pass a motion that you're applying a discounted rental rate of whatever you think appropriate, and then you can get back to the Horticultural Society, but maybe at the next meeting, provide a list of amendments to your price list that you're talking about.
Okay, I'll do that if everybody wants me to for the next meeting. But what about the Hort Society? Now, we have charged them in the past, so I'm thinking for the 24 hours, we should charge them.
Yeah. Is this for which meeting? For the plant sale?
Yes.
Yes. So I think we all just seem to nod our heads to say that would be falling into the category of full use. And now then there's a question of discount applicable to that?
Yeah, I do think it should be at a discounted rate. But
so-
like, I'm not going to charge them $600 for 24 hours like I would a wedding. But I do think it should be a discount, but I don't know how much of one. That's up to you guys.
Well, 24 hours, like, so what would that represent for, like, from
Well-
8 a.m. till 8 a.m.?
From 1 p.m. to 1 p.m. And then there would be a cleanup, I imagine, involved after the 1.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. So any suggestions from the group here that, you know, I would throw out a 25% or more discount as a possibility to them?
What would the normal rate be for the use of the station for that day?
Well, right now we've got it at $60 an hour. Our old rate used to be $35.28 an hour.
All right, because the Hort Society, there's no way they can afford that.
That's
They
right.
would probably have trouble with the old rate.
Debbie, what do you think the cleaning up cost would be?
The Hort Society is pretty good. They'll do most of it themselves. At most, I'll have to wet mop the floors.
So there's a lot of floor.
Yeah, but it doesn't take long.
Well,
Like
if
I would,
you're gonna discount, just make sure we don't discount below the cost to keep the place clean.
Yeah, so in the 24 hours, I guess is the question to me, like, it's not being used for 24 hours, is it? It's
well, if I get a request for a wedding on the Saturday, most weddings want to set up Saturday morning
okay,
and have access. Like if I tell them, well, you can't have it till after 2, they're not going to want it.
mhm.
So potentially we could lose a booking. But I don't know right now at this point. No, there isn't one.
Linda?
So they wanted from, say, 7 in the morning until 7 at night or something like that, or what time?
They want it from 1 p.m. on Friday to
1
1
p.m.
on Saturday.
Oh, really? Oh, I see. So they
And
want to
they
start
want it on with the farmers market. So at
setting
one,
up on Friday and then go.
that's right.
Ah, okay.
So
And
that's really not
so,
24
all right,
hours.
you know what? What would happen if we did something like, all right, you said the old rate was like 30 some dollars. What would happen if we set up a rate for them for the old rate as opposed to the new one? Instead of $60 an hour, $30 or $35 an hour? Would that be ridiculous?
Well, that's 50% discount then.
That's a 50% discount. Is that too much?
The Hort Society, I don't think so. I think if we can get them to do the side garden, probably not this year, but they will do it now. I think we should maintain good relations with them.
Absolutely, because and I'm not sure that they have a great deal of money either. I'm thinking that they are, yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, we're not talking a group that has a lot.
Okay.
You know, and almost all of the people who are in the Hort Society, they pay membership fees, but all the work they do is volunteer.
Yep. And I honestly, I would suggest, because of COVID and everything, and you know, the time we've all had, including them, I think we should go with the rate we charged them in 2019 and just leave it at that for this year, and then come up with a resolution for following.
So so can somebody make a motion? Or do we have to make a motion for that?
Yes.
Yes? All
Yes.
right. I would be more than happy to make that motion.
So are you making the motion of 50% or the rental rate in 2019?
The rental rate in 2019.
Okay. So I have a draft motion if you'd like to hear it, Linda.
Okay,
Since it'll be moved by you, be it resolved that the Creemore Station on the Green Board hereby apply discounted rental rate of, and I'll insert that number again. I've just got to go back in the the minutes there, for the Horticultural Society plant sale.
This needs a seconder, if there is one. Okay.
Brian, discussion?
You're muted, Brian.
That's the 2019 rate times 50%, right? It's half the 2019 rate.
No, I think
No.
the 2019 rate, whatever we charge them then,
Oh.
we'll charge them now.
Okay, but I think just for simplicity, like we're now using the new price sheet, right? Correct?
Yes, I am now.
So it's if we use today's price less 50% discount, that would be correct. That would be the equivalent, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, that's what I would propose. Like, let's not go back to prior pricing. You know, we've got a current price list, so I think if we could work off of it.
So I can change my motion then that they will pay 50% of the current price rate for the
Okay.
plants. That would be that's the change to the motion.
And it
So your
sounds much
friendly
more.
amendment would be the Station on the Green board hereby apply a discounted rental rate of 50% for the Horticultural Society plant sale.
60, wait a minute, that's gonna be 60 divided by
Be
Two-
$30,
dollars.
$30.
That will still be over $300. That'll be like
$700.
for 24 hours, that's gonna be, that's gonna be a lot of money.
Okay, and you're
Sorry,
saying
Brian,
they
what
probably
was the
can't.
rental rate? You had said it 2 minutes ago, but I didn't catch it.
The old one was 35.28 an hour, at least that seemed, that's
No, I
what-
mean, sorry, I'm looking for the price that they had paid in 2019.
Brian, you have that.
Yeah, I'm just looking it up.
Sorry, Brian.
I guess the question.
It's, we charge $207.24.
Yeah, because we mustn't have used 24 hours, I guess is the criteria. You know, perhaps it was like business hours. Would that make sense?
Yeah, I just have the detail. I don't have the actual contract in front of me, but the date was June the 1st. It was the Hort sale. And it was $183.40 plus HST at $23.84. They put a $45 deposit and they paid the remainder at the end of the month. And the total paid was $207.24. That's what we charged in 2019.
That is probably because, as I said, there used to be all different unusual rental rates for all kinds of groups and whatever. Like there wasn't a standard much of anything in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And so
So
that's why it's not even like to try to connect it to the current rates is
You
kind
can't,
of difficult. It's very difficult.
No,
Unless we turned it, instead of saying 50% of current rates, let's say we're basically saying what, say 25% of current rates or 30%? Like we'd have to do the math.
it's still gonna be a lot of money. I would say just charge them $200 flat rate for the 24 hours and that makes it simple. It's a little bit higher than 2019, or than 2019, but I think it's a decent proposal right now.
okay,
And then-
so just keep in mind what we're doing is we're falling back into that problem of, you know, here's a little special price, here's a little special
Yeah.
price. Now, what I would highly recommend is if we're doing something, is it really 24 hours that you would be charging those rates for? And you know, it's if you use business hours, it's like what you would call contiguous use, right? It's not going from nobody's using it from midnight to
That's true.
2 a.m. or till 10 a.m. So like there's 10 hours right there that shouldn't be charged to anybody, right? So if you used it as, instead of 24 hours, you say it's a 12 hour and that discounted at 50%, what's 12 times, what's that? 12 hours at 60 times 50%. 300 and,
360.
60.
yeah, okay. Well, all right. So,
If we did it like that, 360, and then, oh no. I don't have the price list in front of me, but didn't we do it, wasn't there a resident rate that was cheaper off the top
Yeah.
of my,
well, yes, that provided a 15% discount.
okay, and we're gonna go 50. So does $360 sound too much?
Probably.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Well,
And we give them their setup time for free and just do it from, what time does the farmer's market open? 9, 8?
yeah, 8.
Okay, so 8 to 1, that's what, 6 hours, 5 hours?
That's $150.
What if we just give them their setup time for free, the Friday afternoon, and then Saturday morning, just charge them from 8 to 1?
Right.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. The setup time, we could donate the time. And then the actual sale, if we charge what we charged in 2019, say $200. Because they are trying to make money and it is a local group.
Right, and we don't want to take all the money that they're setting this up for.
You know, I'm thinking of this issue too, because when I look back through the various years and the tracking sheets that I've got, we charge different groups. The same group will have a meeting and we charge them for the meeting. And then later on, they have another meeting. We don't charge them. And then later on, we don't charge them. And then later on, we do charge them. And it's like, why is this happening?
It's been a horror story for me.
It was out of our hands at the time. We weren't running the rentals. Now we're trying to grapple with it. Exactly. And I'm thinking along the lines too of, all right, I'm just tossing a number out right now, but our rentals normally in the past years have come in at around $30,000 a year, give or take. We could take a look at the rental stream and separate out the local groups like the Hort Society, like Purple Hills, like the BIA, various in-town groups that would like to use the station for meetings. Separate that out and just look at the remaining rentals that we get on a yearly basis. And somehow then that becomes our income stream. And then we know, all right, if that covers our costs, then we can maybe set a rate for local groups, i.e., if it's a meeting, if there's no charge, but if it's an event, there is a charge, but it's a small one because we're trying to help the community. And I think that might be a way of doing it. We have the records. I mean, we could go through and figure that out and look at that. We don't get any other income. Like the station or the township doesn't give us like $500 a month or something for stuff. We don't get anything else other than the EPCOR credit. So it's probably easy to work out what our income stream is from all the rentals other than the local ones, and then use that amount to then work out what we would want to charge the local ones. Anyway, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, good. Thank you. Per, comment to that?
So I agree with what Brian is saying, and I would just add to that number of groups that he mentioned, BIA, et cetera, that in fairness, he would have to include the village green in that.
Yeah, so I think my recommendation to this then is that we need to articulate the groups by name that you know are those discount. Now, if you refer to the rates, Debbie, when you were calculating that 24-hour rate, that which do you remember what amount you would have used to say $600 or?
Say that again.
Okay, do you remember how? Okay, from your price list, local groups where the resident rate less 15%, and a resident rate is $20 an hour. So that's $17 an hour, right?
Okay.
So did you calculate 24 hours times $17? I don't have a calculator here, but
Not many of them. Oh, for the Hort Society?
yeah, I'm just trying to
did
get back to
from-
a simple sheet that's based on some logic and consistency.
Okay.
So that every future event, we don't have to talk about, you know, history and futures and everything. It can just be,
What I did for the Hort Society just a few seconds ago was I took them from 8 to 1 at the $60 minus the 15%, and that's $255.
yeah, but that's not the rate what you have in your.
It is, because it was $60 an hour minus 15%, which was $51, and then times 5 was $255.
Okay, according to mine here, it would have been, local group is the $25 less 15. Or
$25? I thought it was
$20 less 15,
$20.
less 15%. So that's $17, right?
Per room.
No.
They want the whole station.
Oh, okay.
So then it becomes $60
I see.
minus the 15%, and
I
it
see.
works
That's
out
where
to
I'm missing the.
$55
Okay.
for the 5 hours.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Linda, yeah.
We have to get this reasonably simplified, because we're almost going back into the old system where the rates were kind of all over the board.
But I'm trying.
And we've got to not have that. And I think what we have to deal with is just, I mean, you're saying to list all of the local groups by name. I think we could just say local groups, because I don't know how, I mean, different groups could come in and out. I mean, there could be a new group for something, and then you're getting, see, and I don't even know how we would deal with that. We have to keep this really, really, really simple. Otherwise, we're going to be in a mess.
Well,
and it's going to make it really hard for Debbie.
Yeah, the simplest way is to identify what the groups are. Otherwise, every group that comes in will require some kind of consideration. So my suggestion is just take the groups that we know. Brian has a history of those, so we just take that, put it specifically on this price list.
And when Pear said the village green, that's interesting. I hadn't really thought that far ahead, but I guess technically they would certainly be a local group.
Yes.
And at some point in time, they may want to rent the station for a meeting or something like that. So yeah, considering, I guess they would be part of the local group situation. And there's not much we can do about that. So that would mean that, so Brian would know the names, right?
why would we do anything about it? Let's welcome one and all.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's right. So we would just, we've got it. So we have all the local groups, and the newest one we've got is the Village Green.
That's right. So if we can, specify that, it makes it so much easier. Then you've got a standard methodology for coming up with a rate, and it doesn't require that. Now the question is trying to make it what's affordable is, a difficult one, because if we say it's $300 based on the new rate and it should be 200, I guess the only thing we can do is decide if you want to give them a special deal for under this COVID circumstances, give them a special
Welcome back.
based on that. Like that means to say it's less of 15-20% COVID discount.
If we charge them $183.43 in 2019, I don't see, and we could do the same with every group, 200 every, like the Purple Hills Society, like those kinds of groups, we could charge $200 for a minimum of 5 hours. If they go over that, then they're going to be paying the current rate. Like if they're the current daily rate, whatever. If they're having a fundraising dinner and they want it for the whole day, then they've got to pay the current rate, maybe minus the 15%. But if they want, 5 hours, I figure $200 is fair for them for this time.
Right?
I'd agree with that, but the Friday time would be, we would donate that to the Hort Society, and that's based on the fact that we're working out an agreement with them that they'll look after the grounds and etc. So we would donate their setup time, and then the Saturday time they would pay for the 5 hours at $200 which is the rate 3 years ago, so it's a deal, really.
So is that going to be
$55 cheaper
okay?
than-
Just a sec, Debbie. So the question is, are you suggesting that we amend the price sheet to put a $200 rate per, which is
No,
no?
No,
Why don't we put in POR, price on request?
I mean, if we charge the current rate, it works out to $255. So we're only discounting at $55, unless you think that if the Hort Society would be happy to pay the $255, then that would be the going rate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Linda, do you think they're able to do that, or?
I'm not 100% sure, but I do know that I recently received an email. As you know, my email address changed. So anyway, they didn't have it before. I have been a member in the past. I just rejoined, and they recently sent an email out, basically looking for more members and looking for the possibility of people who would like to donate. So I would say from the basis of that, my bet is that they are struggling a little, but that's just a guess. But I know they're down in numbers of people, and they're down in, well, partly because think about that lovely garden area that they used to work on. That's not there, and they're not sure what's going on with it, right? And then, so I would say that right now they might be struggling a little bit, but that's just a guess.
Yeah, that's we're hypothesizing.
Yeah, that's hypothesizing. I don't know for sure.
So, Brian?
I would draw the distinction between someone who's wanting to put on a wedding or a birthday party or something against a group like the Hort Society, which is a volunteer group, and they don't have an income stream other than their membership fees and any fundraising that they do. They're similar to us in a way. And in the last couple of years with COVID, they've not had much opportunity to do any fundraising. So I think in the spirit that this is a volunteer organization that is local residents that have not had probably much of an income stream in the last 2 years, that we recognize that, and our normal rate would be $255, but we have COVID rate of $200. And after this one, we go back to regular rates, depending on, which group. I mean, I see a difference between what they're doing and someone who's just renting the hall because they're having an event, political event or a birthday party or a shower or a wedding or just a general kind of a meeting or for whatever reason. This is a volunteer group. It's totally different. So I think we treat it differently.
Good. Okay, I think that was a good summary, Brian. Perfect. Well stated. Thank you for that. And so I guess that's how we would form that amount, is by taking the regular and taking the COVID discount out, and to make it $200 and whatever dollars it is. Okay.
So I'll just charge them the $200.
Well, I think,
And that's a little higher than 2019, but it's a lot less than what they pay. Well, $50 less or $55.
They paid $207 in 2019.
But that's with HST, right?
Oh, okay. You're 200 plus HST. All right.
So it's less than $20 more than what they paid in 2019 without HST. And it's 50 some dollars cheaper than what it would be at the current rate.
Otherwise, without the COVID discount. Okay, so I think that's a very thoughtful kind of a response to give them, and that's what I would urge that we do. Work off this current price list and apply those amounts to arrive at the $200.
Okay. So the total charge would be 226, including the HST. Okay.
So just a point of order, I have a action item that Debbie will present an amendment to the rental rates at the next meeting to update that sheet and include the handwritten free use clause as well.
Okay.
And then is the friendly amendment still stand, Linda, as you moved this motion? Be it resolved that the Creemore Station on the Green Board hereby donate the setup time and apply a discounted rental rate of $200 plus taxes for 5 hours to host the Horticultural Society plant sale.
That's fine with me.
Still second by Debbie Hill. So if you want to call your...
Can I just add a comment to that? And based on 2022 price list pricing, can we comment to that? Add that in.
You want to make that comment in the motion, Jeremy?
Yes, I think it's important that we kind of state what that base number is built from.
Yes.
Good, thank you.
I agree.
Do you have a suggestion of how to word that?
So could you just read it out as you have it now then?
Yep, so as it is now is the Creemore Station on the Green Board hereby donate the setup time and apply a discounted rental rate of $200 plus taxes for 5 hours to host the Horticultural Society plant sale.
All based upon the 2022 pricing schedule. And that keeps it very clear, open, and reminds us, I think, where that amount came from. We don't mention the COVID discount, but
And are you agreeable, both Linda and Debbie, to the friendly amendment?
Yes,
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
So, very good. So there it's, do we have a seconder?
yeah, it's Debbie.
I second
Debbie?
it.
Okay. So all in favor? Thank you. Okay, Linda?
No, I was just curious, since we do need a list of all the local groups, I would imagine that Brian, basically, if you look back over all of the, look back, you might be able to provide that list of all of our local groups. So then
I
we
can-
would know.
Yeah, I can go back through my records at least and identify the groups that appear to be local.
And then,
Um,
yeah. And then we could just look at it on the next meeting and then make sure that it gets included, that there's a second sheet or something as part of the rental rates that lists what the local groups are.
Yes, and the local groups all represent a range of interests, which I think probably will lead to further discussion as to how we treat them. But I can do that, and anyone knows of any that I missed, we'll just add them to the list and we can deal with it at the next meeting.
Now, again, when we say local groups, the one thing I'm not thinking of early on as being a local group. I'm not thinking of Tai Chi as being a local group. I'm thinking of groups that are basically there to get people together, and you're basically like their groups are all volunteers primarily.
That's
Like this Horde Society's volunteers, the Purple Hills is volunteers.
That's fine.
That's what I'm looking at. I'm hoping that that's, so when you're dealing with that, look at it from that viewpoint.
What I will do is create a list of local groups, whatever they may be, but I have a feeling when we look at those groups, we're going to think of some other groups, and we're going to come to the conclusion that we need to come up with a definition of what is a local group. We have the Clearview Community Church. The only person there that I know that gets paid is probably the minister. The rest are all volunteers, if you will. They use the station, but it's for local residents, I would assume. There's also political parties that use the station, as well as, the Horde Society and other groups. So I think we'll likely want to come up with a definition so that we can, any future group that wants to be a local group, we would have to use a definition to define whether they are in fact a local group.
I feel like we're falling into a great big hole.
That's exactly right.
And I don't like falling into a great big hole. That is not going to be fun.
Maybe we can just keep it to a little hole, like a depression, and just get around it. I don't know. But I think we need to define what is a local group. And if we can define that easily, then we can identify them very easily.
Oh, golly.
Thanks, Brian. So, Pear,
I think that's where Debbie comes in. Debbie has been pretty good at evaluating the requests coming in. And I think the idea of putting in, don't publish a price list, put POR. That way they will have to contact Debbie, speak with her, at which point she evaluates for what purpose and by what group the rental or use of the facility is proposed.
yeah, we got to be careful. It's not discriminatory kind of pricing, though. You got to be careful with those things.
We have to be very careful, but the fact of the matter is that some things are bringing in money, as I said, even though local people are using them. These things are, people are paying membership fees. They're paying, they're paying as part of whatever is going on. And I mean, even if you consider a community church, I'm not sure, I've never been to one of their services, but the chances are they pass the collection plate.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, this is, So we're talking about, and as I said, Tai Chi, they're paying membership to be there, you know, things like that. So we can look at it, but it's going to be, as I said, I don't want to fall into a great big hole.
Okay.
Like it has to be a local group where primarily they are not making money, they
Yeah.
are doing.
Okay, I think it's well stated, Linda, but by the same token, we need to think of Debbie so that she's not calling out every time to you.
No, I know.
to
That's
the
why
group
we have
say,
to
is this
get
group
the groups down.
what and that? So that's the one benefit of a list that's even part
Yeah.
of the POR list, if you like, but for our own reference, as I think it's important. So
It is important, and yeah, we will have to look at it, definitely.
I was just thinking when Brian mentioned the church, even they're paying $143 for every Sunday, and that's under their old contract. Well, it's the same number of hours as the Hort Society will be using. So I don't think $200 is unreasonable, and I think it's in line with what the church is paying as well, under old rates.
So when they sign a new contract, there'll be new rates.
We'll have to negotiate.
Oy, oy, oy.
It's okay. Clayton's pretty cool.
He is. He's fantastic.
okay, so could we move on then to the next item, marketing and advertising? I think we covered.
Okay, I have a couple more things that I asked to be on the agenda and they weren't put on specifically. So I'm thinking under rentals is where I should talk about it. The Station Cafe. I've heard different comments around town about with the restaurants all being takeout and whatever, there's been no place to really socialize in the morning for a coffee. And people, one lady specifically told me they have bonfire clutches where they all take their blankets and everything. And she said, but it would be nice to have someplace indoors. So my brain started working and I'm thinking, all right, well, we could close off, you know, the 2 small rooms or something and set up tables with tablecloths and make it kind of a cozier setting and possibly get coffee and sweets from the Bank Cafe one week, the bakery the other week, the new place the other week, like a flat rate for a coffee and a sweet, whatever, and have maybe some decks of cards around and run it from 9 till 11 in the morning, one day a week. And the flat rate would include the cost of the station. How do you feel?
I think it's a good idea.
I'm sorry?
I think it's a great idea.
I would say that the only days that if something like that did happen, and I don't know who would run that, but if something like that did happen, the 2 days that would be the best days would be a Monday or a Tuesday. Because virtually nothing is available then. Like on Wednesdays, at least people can go to the Creemore Bakery.
Well, yeah, but now it's open when this.
Now that it's open again. And so, but basically the only 2 days for sure when there is no place is Monday or Tuesday.
Then we would have to go outside of town for coffee and tea and sweets.
That's right. That would be a drag.
I'd have to go to Timmy's or something.
You've.
Brian?
I think Linda is good saying Monday and Tuesday because we don't want to be seen as being in competition with the other restaurants and you know, competing with their trade and people coming for coffee. If they're closed Monday and Tuesday, then we're not competing with them. And Tim's coffee isn't all that bad because they seem to have a long line at their drive-throughs. So I guess we could deal with that. But
Is that a COVID issue that seemed to brought this
Not
up?
anymore. As of March 1st, there's no proof of vaccine required. I haven't heard how the township is dealing with that yet, but apparently,
Yeah.
and there's no
No,
contact.
what I was meaning was that does the people that have these little blanket groups or whatever that you were referring to, are they, is that a result of the COVID that they weren't able to get together, or is it because the restaurants were closed? Or?
I think it was probably both. Restaurants were closed because of COVID, right? So I
That's
think,
what I'm saying, yeah.
yeah.
So it was because of
So
COVID.
they couldn't go to the cafe and sit and chat, whatever,
I
you
see.
know.
Okay. So are you proposing that as a consideration?
I am, and I would go to Timmy's. I'll run it. I have no problem with it, but I'm just not sure how much we would charge for that. I would probably go with the tea and the coffee and just charge a flat fee or something, and that would include
Had you worked out any amounts or any,
no, because I wasn't sure what the cafes were going to charge me for coffee, so I wanted to run it through here first, and then I'd get pricing.
yeah. Yeah.
I heard somebody else talking about the same thing, and it was the woman who used to be, I'm blanking on her name right now, who used to be the person who ran the farmer's market.
Helen?
Anyway, yes, Helen. And she was looking at something like that, and she was thinking that a good location for it would be Legion.
Yeah, we're a better location.
Our location is better, but she was thinking about something like that for the Legion, because the Legion could utilize, I don't know, they could use, basically what I think they could use is the money, but people going over there and having coffee and what have you. But I have no idea whether they're planning on doing anything or not. It's a lot of work what you're suggesting, Debbie. And it would have to be noted in the paper that it was available. I have no idea.
No, it's a thoughtful, I think
It's an interesting idea, definitely.
it is. And, sorry, Brian?
Is there some vendor with the farmer's market that normally sells coffee and stuff at the market that could be approached to see whether they'd be interested in doing this on a Monday or a Tuesday morning at the station? And we would simply charge them the rental and they do all the work.
I will check that out.
Well, those are volunteer groups. Each week, a different volunteer group does that, like the Girl Guides or the.
They haven't been doing it recently. There's nothing like that. Oh, there was something like that at the market the other day. Yes.
No, I'm referring back to the old style market where there was the coffee stand and.
Yes.
Yeah,
And there was one at the very first market, I believe. There was a group doing that. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, those were, I think, otherwise volunteer groups that were trying to get a little bit of funding, I think.
Look at that too.
Well, I mean, there's no reason why a volunteer group couldn't organize and run this. Their cost would be the coffee, the food, and the rental, and then the excess would be their profit. And we could also approach maybe some of the church groups, maybe, well, they have their own hall, so they do it in their own hall, I guess. But I think whoever does it at the market, we should talk to them and see if they'd be interested.
I will do that.
Okay. Any other comments to that one? Because I think the one recommendation I would have is, to fill that out. That's a great idea. And you've heard some different ideas varying from we run it to somebody else run it. And if could you put a bit more thought to that then, Debbie, based on what the sort of reaction has been?
And that was kind of what I wanted, was ideas.
Yeah, good. Okay. So if you could round that out then as a little business plan or project plan or something to talk about it, and we'd look forward to that. That's a great, if it produced a bit of revenue, wouldn't that be wonderful?
The other thing I have was Buck and Doe events. I've had a few requests for them. I cannot remember if we decided totally against them in our last conversation or if we made a decision. I know I have checked with Duntroon and they do quite a few of them there and they have not had any damages. So I don't know where you want to go with that. I don't know what to tell these people. I've had 3 requests for a Buck and Doe event.
Just get a damage deposit.
I think Brian commented to that the last time when that came up, that we'd held those and there was no issue, eh?
Yeah, we've held Buck and Does in the past and I haven't heard of any problems with them. Not aware of any.
So is that a yes to booking these, even though it says in a contract, no, right? So I'm asking.
Linda, comment?
If you do book something like that, the only thing I would suggest is that that there be a $500 damage deposit that is returnable, refundable, as long as all is good. Just because of the situation. There was some problem, but it was years ago. It was years ago. It might even be before. I mean, I think it was in the Paul Ruppel days. And at some point in time, it was totally stopped. Buck and Does were totally stopped because we did run into, there was a problem, an issue. There was a situation, and I can't even remember all of it. But I think as long as we can get a damage deposit that is refundable, that is an event, it makes sense.
Yep, it does. Okay, so everybody agrees with that?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. And there is a COVID update on the agenda, so I'll wait for that one. That's everything I have.
All right, thank you very much, Debbie. And
Buck and Doe.
If it's
Oh,
oh,
we had a Buck and Doe on June the 27th, 2020. And we had, yeah, same one. We had one in June of 2020.
So we have,
Yeah.
And it was fine, right?
It was fine.
Yeah, I can't see any problem.
all right.
sorry, my question was if it's in your contract that you do not host Buck and Doe events, should you pass a motion to approve hosting Buck and Doe events with a required refundable $500 damage deposit?
Probably, and I'll take it out of the contract too.
yeah,
Why don't we just explain to the Buck and Doe applier that there is a damage deposit? To say it in writing is like saying people are trouble. No need to do that.
We have to, I think it should be in a contract because that makes it a legal thing.
deposit.
And we do have deposits in the contract. Already on the contract, there is a line for damage deposit. There is a line for a key deposit. There's all different lines on there. So it's already in there.
And it applies to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's perfect.
So then so there's no restriction to specifically Buck and Doe.
Oh,
I remembered seeing that somewhere, but I don't see it in there actually now.
it's in the contract.
Well, more importantly, it's the marketing that we don't say in the marketing plan that we don't entertain Buck and Does.
No, but the contract says that already. And I
So,
want it to be taken off the contract.
right, and so it should be.
Yeah.
Yes,
And there is a spot for damage deposit, key deposit, and other fees. So at that point, that becomes a one-on-one conversation with the group.
Okay, so to Kayla's point, we need a motion then to remove that statement from the contract.
Jeremy, would it be okay to approve hosting the Buck and Doe event with a required refundable $500 damage deposit now, and having Debbie add that to her list of amendments when she comes back next month?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. Then we can do it all in one.
It's not really like you get anything outside there. Yeah.
I'm just going to be silent for a second.
Good.
So I would need a mover and a seconder for that motion if that's the way that the board chooses to go.
I'll move it.
And Brian second?
I'll second.
And discussion, none? Everybody in favor? So that means to say that Debbie's going to deal with this removal and get it consistent? All in favor? Good, thank you. I'm not sure if Kayla got that or not, but it's...
Yes, I did, Jeremy. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, so on to the next item then. Building and landscaping. I don't believe there's any new points on that.
Your item is listed, Jeremy, the accessible access to the main entry around the event sign.
Can you say that one again, please, Kayla?
You had a comment that you wanted to make about the accessible access.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so that was to do with actually the Village on the Green and the plan that they presented. When we met with them, Linda and I discussed one of the questions that we asked was to have a view rather than what we've got now is a bird's eye view from a very high level, looking at how the parking and the people move and accessibility to the station. The discussion now comes back to, can we get down to the real, where do people with any disabilities come out of the parking lot and through by that new sign, for instance, and into the front door. So that was a question. And what we wanted to do was identify that as a topic for the next meeting with the Village Green. So it was just an agenda item. I wanted to keep it fresh, that we could have it so that we can get more involved in the how, as this whole, I would suspect it's going to open up in March and April will be a busy month, and we need to be involved. I think Linda would agree that that we need to be aware of what's happening before it happens rather than after the fact. So that's the only comment there. Thanks. Yeah, Brian.
My observation has been whenever I go by the station, the parking lot is largely empty. There might be one car in it, maybe two, but along Caroline Street in front of the station, there's a whole line of cars parked there. And I can only assume they're parked there because they can then access the front door. You cannot access the front door from the parking lot. So people are parking on Caroline Street, I think, and walking in on that path. So I guess the question is, when will people be able to use the parking lot and access the front door? And since we're coming into spring, there's going to be, I would think, a lot of construction happening in the Village Green. And will they be using the parking lot for logistics of bringing things in and taking things out? So I think it's important that we be kept aware of what's happening.
Exactly. And that was the point, just to highlight that we need involvement before rather than later, as we agree with that sign. Good, thank you. And under new business, so yeah, Debbie, you've got an update for us in COVID. It's been cured, I guess. Is that what you're going to tell us?
Well, no, under new business, I'd like to get added to the next meeting a proposal for fundraising. Like I have some music nights, different things in my head. And I've been working with people, and they would actually be fundraising events for the station, and it would provide a night of entertainment for the community. But I have 3 or 4 different groups that are interested in playing at the station. Flute and cellist trio, Abby Zolt, who is a singer with a local band. She's all over YouTube. But there are different ones, and they think the station would be perfect for that kind of event. And they would base their pricing on ticket sales. So if we didn't sell enough tickets, it would be a percentage of ticket sales. If we didn't sell enough tickets, then it just wouldn't happen. Or we can do it where we pay them flat out. I have no idea how much. That's what I said. For the next meeting, it would be a topic of discussion, because then I would have rates for some of these. We could have a talent showcase with all local groups and sell tickets to it. Or we could have, with art, we could combine an art and music night. There's endless options here. And I think it would be a good idea to bring money into the station and to actually have it used a lot.
Linda?
I think that is great, because we have not done any fundraising for the station in quite a while. As you all remember, one of our major fundraisers was a lobster dinner, which we have not done. And part of the reason is that it got a lot more expensive for people to buy tickets, because it was costing us a lot more to put it on. But that was our major fundraiser. We do need to figure out some ways of fundraising for the station. And that would be one. I mean, definitely our rentals are very important, but that's just something else that, when things are relaxed enough that we can do it, and we're pretty sure we wouldn't have to cancel it, I would say these are things that we should look into. And thank you very much, Debbie.
Yeah, that's good.
I can come up with 1,000,001 things.
You're too good. Thank goodness.
Yeah, that's great. That's very, very encouraging to hear those ideas.
Now, we were talking about, like Debbie and I talked on the phone a bit too about the COVID update thing. Like, I mean, what we've heard from the government, and things are changing, and pretty soon you won't have to show a vaccine passport, etc. But the interesting thing is, and I'd like to find out what the rules are going to be, the township could also, like, just like any store or restaurant, will be able to have their own rules, even if they say cancel the vaccine passport thing. If a store or a restaurant says, no, you have to show this to come in. So what I'm curious about is the township, even if the province relaxes it, will the township relax things, or will we be under different instructions? And then the other thing is, when somebody rents the station for something, like, for example, right now, the farmer's market. And right now, when you go to the farmer's market, you have to show your vaccine passport to go into the market. If they chose, if let's say the vaccine passport information was no longer required, they can also choose as to whether to still have it once they've rented the building. So I'm just trying to figure out where, like, do we have any say Is it going to be the township? And then, of course, as I said, it's the renters.
Mhm.
And I'm just, I'm not sure exactly what the township is going to first say. Like, the township could still make it a requirement for anything going on at the station.
So that's an Amanda input, right?
We're going to have to find out from Amanda. Like, she sent a bunch of things, which I send on whenever she sends them to me. I just flood your mailboxes with it. But yeah, that sort of thing, it's going to be an Amanda sort of thing coming through, and then we will find out. But just because, like, we can't assume that just because the province does something, that it's going to be for all.
Clearview.
Kayla, do we have a COVID update from the township yet?
Not with regards to the new standards. Amanda, it's my understanding, is waiting on the Simcoe County or the Simcoe Muskoka health unit. And that's what the township looks towards. So when we start talking about provincial mandates, what we're actually looking for is Simcoe Muskoka. That's more close to home.
Yeah.
So Amanda will come out with something likely in the next couple days. I mean, as soon as it gets dropped on them, we give them usually a day or two turnaround to come back out. And as Linda says, she's been very good at making sure the board has access to that, as she does.
Yeah.
Great. Perfect. Okay, so does that satisfy the COVID question then, Linda? Are you?
It does. I have people asking for March already.
Oh yeah.
They have to be vaccinated, and I want Anthony back. So if the township drops it, Anthony might be more convincible.
Well, no, I'm hoping that he can come back. This, again, I mean, he is a good person on the board. And then again, we will have to find out what the rules are going to be from the township, and if we can invite Anthony back.
I think he will come back. I would be insulted if I were treated like him. I think we did a wrong deed to let him go, considering that we're on Zoom.
I think they did. I agree with you.
It was he that resigned, not what we did.
Well, he resigned under the threat.
No, under the request to provide information, and he didn't want to do that. So
he did not want to give his health information to the township. Whereas we all did.
It could have been just his excuse to leave. Like the time.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think so
anyway,
either. I think it was.
No, he wants back for sure.
Yeah. So
anyway, I don't think he was for an excuse to leave. I think he was a dedicated person to the station.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
Right. So let's encourage him back, and then we'll take it from there, and that's great.
As long as, and again, the township has to allow us to do this. That we have to go by the township rules again.
Yeah, that's right. That would be, yeah. Okay, perfect. Anything else? Then, we're just probably over time here, but let's make sure we've got all our comments out. Brian?
So Linda, you're going to send me Barry Burton's phone number.
Yes.
And I'm going to be talking to him about requesting the township cover the Huronia costs, which are just slightly under 5,000. I'm going to add to that. I'm going to look at our cash flow in the next month or two. So maybe the 5,000 will be enough, but if we need more, then I'm going to put it to Barry that we may need additional money beyond that as well. And the reasons why. And then when I have talked to Barry, going forward, if we're going to talk to Terry Vachon, someone's going to have to do that, and also probably put it in writing, and that normally comes from the chair. So I can work with the chair and develop something like that as well. We're
And
not,
again, and hopefully Barry's got to tell you the route to take.
yeah, because we can't wait till the next March meeting. We're going to have to do this
That's
in
an
the
hour.
next few days.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Good. Okay, that's a good summary. Anything else? Any other questions, Debbie or
No,
Barry?
I'm good.
Linda?
Fine.
So next meeting, St. Patrick's Day. So,
Sorry,
Oh,
Jeremy,
really?
I see security cameras on the agenda.
oh, I'm
8.2?
sorry. Yeah, it's not on the one I have, but
No,
No, I
it's
think
not on mine either.
if you go to the township website, it's been updated since.
oh, sorry.
Oh.
Okay.
That's okay, no worries.
Perry, do you have a question first?
Well, if we're closing off, I just wanted to make a couple of points, if I may. Number one is the fire safety plan. We never got a determination if we required one and whether we could have the aid of the township to develop one, whether they had a department within the township that did that sort of thing. But as it is a legal requirement, we needed to touch base with somebody to ensure that we're in compliance.
Okay,
So-
to that, I understand. I think if my recollection is correct, we addressed that to the fire chief, and he said just hold off. They were preparing one themselves, and it would become the template, and then we could work with them. They would help us. That they weren't going to do it for us, but they would help us. So that I think will, in its turn, create a new little project.
Okay. The other point was, as Brian has aptly stated, we have spent our money, so to speak, on this fire security. As the money has been spent and as the money was gifted to the station, I think it would be highly appropriate that on proper letterhead, the family be served a letter thanking them for this kind donation.
Yeah, that actually has happened. Per Linda did that with thank you cards to each of the family members.
Okay.
And it was a very nice handwritten on behalf of the board.
Thank you, Linda. And finally, on an interesting point, I wonder how many people on the board have ever noticed the oil painting hanging in the lobby of the station. It's hidden by the doors when they're opened. I looked at it the other day for the first time. Have you all seen it? Well, if you have, then good. Maybe we should have it either displayed in a more prominent position so that when the door is closed, it's obscured.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, good.
I'll try to remember to look the next time I'm in,
Yeah,
see what I think.
It's a very nice painting.
yeah. Okay, well, challenge everyone to do that and come back with their own impression of what it was. So, thank you, Per. Just one last thing that I had asked for on the agenda was the subject of video cameras, video monitoring. They don't work right now, and the system is virtually defunct because it's based on an old style PC with old style cameras, and I have a feeling like the PC is broken somehow, whether it's a power supply or whatever. It's not working. It can't be turned on, turned off, can't be rebooted. It's so therefore the whole system is not recording, and it's not video capturing. So the question that had, and maybe we'll have to leave it till the next meeting because we've kind of gone overtime here, but the question to consider and is this: do we actually need monitoring for the station? It's external. The question, we know we've got a nice new security system internal, but external, do we need one?
So
Yeah.
it's just on the outside of the building.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
there's four different cameras pointed, and oh no, I beg your pardon. There's some internal ones too.
Yeah, because isn't there one in the main lobby?
No, there's one into the washroom entrance point, and
Yes.
one in the storeroom.
Well, let me give you an example. We got a bunch of stuff from Scott Mackay. He had a bunch of things. And I gave something to Jeremy because he's been holding on to things. And then Debbie and I went through everything just to see. And anyway, we kept some of it. That camera it's not in the washroom, but it sort of
Yeah.
shows what, who goes in.
The
These
entrance.
are very old letters from kids. And these kids did damage at the station. It was a long time ago because 2015, it was, oh, jeepers, I can't even remember. But like one of them was, they were all dated 2015. A group of children or kids, young people, did some damage in the washrooms. Now there's no cameras in there, but because you could see who
Right.
was entering, there was then a way of knowing who did all the damage. And they did. They threw pizza everywhere, did whatever. It was, when you read these letters. I know better not to put Rolo chocolate in the toilet. I know better than to, something and something. Like there was a group of these kids who did damage. And because of this, because of those cameras, they were able to know who the kids were who did this
Okay.
and who did the damage. So
Okay.
I would say that it's worthwhile. Like hopefully nothing like that ever happens again.
Yeah.
But it is worthwhile in case, like the fact that people know that there is something there that's monitoring a bit, helps
Okay.
the scenario. In my humble opinion. And as I said, these, there was damage done. It was a mess, and it's worthwhile to keep
Okay.
that kind of monitoring if we can, and
Okay.
when we can afford it.
No, good point. That's what I was hoping to hear. Some purpose. It had also served to help identify some use that had, when it was pointed out at the fountain, when it was
Yes.
under our own responsibility, it identified some youths that were brought in to have a chat with. I think Bill talked about it. Yeah, Brian.
I think it's something we should visit when we know we have the funds to pay for it.
Of course.
But in the interim, what often works is simply signs saying these premises are under video surveillance.
I think they
Mhm.
are.
And are there signs up saying that? Yeah, because that can be a deterrent on its own. And then once we get our cash flow back to normal, then I think we should revisit this and talk
Okay.
about it.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So I believe that sign is up, and we can check that. Yeah, Per.
Jerry, just to add, there are wireless systems available for far less than what the current system could be repaired for.
Yeah. It's not the cameras, Per. It's the PC that would do the recording, and it needs some unit to take the information and retain it, right? So that's the problem. That's why I mentioned the computer that is currently there is no longer functional, and we would still need under any of those scenarios to have some kind of recording device. right? So that's the only question at hand. So that would be like your $2,000 item plus in that magnitude. I would
Make
think.
that off one fundraising event.
Yeah, there you go, Deb.
Yeah.
So that's the objective. Good. Okay. So it was for your thoughts. Thank you for the inputs. That's I think what it tells us is that it is a needed one. And one other important point was that the Village Green had asked if they could use our video monitoring, and we'd never replied to them on that. So we might be able to reply on the basis that here's our current situation, and we'd be happy to do it if they were able to contribute to the project.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Yes,
Yeah. So yeah.
absolutely.
So that's that topic, and there was no beginning or end to it. I just wanted to get the feel so that we can put it on the agenda for next time. If you would kindly do that, then Kayla, thank you. Linda?
This is just off the cuff something I've been wondering about. Because the Village Green is quite behind for a variety of reasons out of their control. But I'm wondering how much that is affecting our rentals.
It does. I've had a few inquiries for weddings, and the reason they don't want to book them is because they aren't sure of that construction. They're worried about it taking up parking. They're worried about just being ugly for pictures, different things.
I know, and I've been thinking that now, I mean, this is is there any way that we could make a point and request some financial assistance from the Village Green? And even if we should, we probably shouldn't, because we want to maintain good relations. But I find it a little frustrating sometimes, because I'm thinking that it really is affecting our rentals, and now I know for sure it is. And really, I'm not saying we should ask, but it's just frustrating, because I think the important thing for us is to maintain good relations with the Village Green, because we are going to be working as an integrated unit in a lot of ways. The look of the Village Green is going to be very important for our rentals and things like that. But I'm just finding it a little frustrating at times.
Absolutely. So, Per, question there,
Well,
point?
In construction, this is called interference with business.
Mm-hmm.
And we stated this, or I stated it in one of our meetings when they first proposed all this work. You'll not get anywhere with this request.
Okay.
Okay.
I assumed we wouldn't, and I actually assumed we wouldn't make it, but it is
Well, they need to
affecting
know.
us. It's
They need to
affecting
know.
us negatively, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah. Brian? Yeah.
They know. They know. How can they not know?
Well, Brian?
Yeah, my memory, I can still remember Stuart Lazier's answer to that question that Per raised. It was that, well, once the park is up and running, your business will be booming.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're gonna get very far, but I
No, we
agree with
wouldn't get very far, but I had to say my frustration, because
Okay.
I think it is affecting our wedding bookings and things like that.
I agree with with both of you, and doesn't hurt to make the point again.
Well, it has to be made. It has to be made.
And certainly,
to that point.
certainly, I can bring that up with Barry Burton when I'm saying, we have these costs and our revenue's down, and part of our revenue's down is because of the contract you signed with the Village Green. It's hurting us.
Yeah.
So township has to come to our aid.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. But to conclude this perhaps, and on this whole topic, Linda, I think we need another, just to do this as a group, but we need to request a meeting with Village Green in March so that we can get their plans for the, how they're going to progress their opening and all of the other stuff that goes along with that, including the more detailed walkthroughs that I had spoken of. So,
When were they going to schedule the next one? Did they
well,
say?
I'm not sure, but what I'm asking is that you and I, or you, just make the request to them to say that we would like to call for a meeting to discuss the following points.
All right, what points do you want?
Well, the status for opening, the current status, the plan for opening, the detailed walkthrough of accessibility. Those would be three that just come to mind, but there's probably others.
There is another one. The farmers market's concerned. The Horde Society wants to use the parking lot as a setup area for their plants and everything that are going into the village green. I'm suggesting they use the grass area, maybe even the walkway, because the farmers market's really concerned that they won't have a place to operate on Saturday mornings.
Right. So they're looking for a staging area, and you're going to recommend that the grassed area be it.
And it might be more inconvenient, but if they're going to be there on Saturday, it needs to be on the grass to enable the farmers market.
So the grass, as in the grass over to the Caroline Street side of the station?
Yes.
Yeah,
And why would we bring that up? Oh, we would bring that up with this meeting.
Rent the station to the farmers market.
Yeah, I know, but what we're saying is we're worried that we won't have the use of the parking area.
Yeah, for the farmers market.
For the farmers market, we would bring that up at this meeting.
No, I think what Debbie's mentioning is that's to the Hort Society. You're requesting that.
Okay. Has this got anything? No.
Okay. Like the request is to the Hort Society to use the staging area of the grass. Has that request been asked of you?
The farmers market, they were talking to me about it, and they had heard that the Hort Society is going to use the parking lot, and they're concerned about not having the space for their market.
Okay, so I think that this is really nothing to do, well, it is.
The village green.
It's all the same thing.
But it's can we not just address this with the Hort Society to use?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. But we need to make a point that's now a conflict issue.
Okay, so with the village green, though, we want to have a meeting to discuss the opening dates and status so that we know what's going on. Detailed walkthrough of accessibility.
Yeah.
And
you could say video recording.
Video surveillance.
Video surveillance, yeah.
Well, I don't know, we could write something down, I suppose. I've got Stuart Lazier's email.
Yeah, it's just, well, it's right. What is a request for a March meeting, I think, because that would be appropriate.
Okay, so do you want me to send Stuart an email?
Yeah, if you would, that would be appreciated. You could, but it's like it would be, yeah.
Actually, before I even sent it to Stuart, I would send it to you. See if I missed anything, okay. And then I would send it to Stuart. Okay,
thanks. So everybody else knows that, we just want to keep fresh ideas and thoughts coming in that regard. So as you, like Debbie, to that very point, thank you for that, because it's a conflict and very important to have these.
Okay.
Okay, so anything else? Per, Deb?
After we go off record, I'd like to make a comment.
I don't know if it goes off.
Can we go off record, Kayla?
Yeah, once you guys motion to adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn, but don't kick us out.
No, no, no. I usually stay on for a little bit for you guys.
Debbie, do you make that motion?
I do.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah.
I
Linda.
will.
Yeah. Second.
We're adjourned. But now what is it?